The four rescue unit members, led by Irie, were hiding in a bush next to the clinic.
行きましょう。こちら側をフォローするカメラは故障中ですから大丈夫です。
こんなとこから堂々と？うわ、怖いね。
敵は監視をセキュリティに依存しきってるようです。問題ないでしょう。
行きましょう。まずは壁沿いに伝い、所長室の裏へ。
はい。私が出るとき、窓は閉めませんでしたから、まだ開きっぱなしでしょう。そこから入ると、すぐ脇が裏口で、そこには監視カメラと1階保安室があり、今日は2名が常駐しているはずです。地下区画前は厳重に監視カメラで見張られていますので、必ずバレるでしょう。
地下に行く前にその1階の2人を制圧しないとね。退路確保は基本でしょ。
まずは所長室から入って1階保安室。
They moved forward, walking against the walls so that they'd remain in the blind spot of the security cameras. They'd soon reach the window of the director's office. If any village kids saw them, they'd assume they were playing around, pretending to be spies. Irie was glad that the clinic was closed on Sundays. Irie peeked into the room. It was exactly the same as how he'd left it. The window was open too. The four of them snuck into the room through that window. Akasaka put his ear against the door to the hallway. Then he signaled the others to let them know that there was nobody on the other side. Since the clinic was closed, the mountain dogs were the only people around. It being Sunday really was fortunate. It was very quiet in the clinic. The chorus of the cicadas was the only thing that could be heard. There was a clock on the director's desk. It was almost 11:30 a.m. Shion was surprised to find herself getting hungry, given all that was going on. Kasai and Akasaka checked over their weapons. Irie brought out a book of blueprints from a locked bookcase. The title said Construction Plan for the Irie Clinic.
ここが所長室です。
What the heck is a locked bookcase? I guess it's like a bookcase with a like a wooden cover, like doors on it with a lock, I guess.
ここが1階保安室。出てすぐそこです。監視カメラはこの赤鉛筆がそうです。
1階保安室の制圧自体は難しくなさそうだ。問題は地下ですね。
これが地下の研究区画です。ここが入り口。図面では表向きは職員用の2階への階段になっていますが、実際は地下区画への入り口が隠されています。そして階段で地下へ。
よくもこんな大きな地下を作ったものです。地上部分よりもよっぽど広いですね。
それは地下こそがこの診療所の真の姿である証拠です。
で、これが監督の認証カードでないと入れない扉と。認証カードが封印されて使えなくなってるなんてことは？万一認証カードが使えない場合にゲートの物理的突破は可能？
非常に厳重な扉で、証拠隠滅時にはそれを閉じてから内部に注水して封鎖する決まりになっています。
ということは機密扉か。この容積を満たす水圧に耐えるということは相当に頑丈だ。
ってことは認証カード以外の方法では不可能ってことだね。
一般用の認証カードは個別の登録抹消が可能なはずですが、私と高野さんの認証カードは商工用の特別カードと聞いています。登録抹消には各個に設定した8桁のパスワードが必要ですから、事実上彼らには抹消できません。
将校自らが不法使用することは想定していないということですね。
I'm envisioning us getting through all of this, everything going really well, and then when we punch in the code, it's like not gonna work. Something's gonna happen, probably right there at the end when we're trying to get in the door. I think that's going to cause the problem.
それでもダメな時は一回保安室の人間に開けさせましょう。保安要員のカードなら将校の次に強力なはずです。
素直に協力してくれるとは思えませんが。
Of course not.
協力しないんならカードと指紋認証用に指を1本ちょっと拝借するまでです。
そうしたくはないですね。私のカードで開くことを祈るばかりです。
地下のセキュリティルームはどれです？
認証カードで入ってすぐ脇のこの部屋です。この部屋には空調もテレビもありますから、基本的に保安の方はそこに全て詰めています。上で2人をやっつければ残りの6人がいるはずです。
6人か。一気に制圧しないと難しいね。一瞬で制圧しないとほぼ確実に警報を鳴らされる。先に警報を切断する方法は？
ちょっと分かりませんが、予備電源や予備回線があるはずです。
現実的じゃないか。セキュリティルームを制圧する方が現実的ですね。保安の連中の武装は
？1階の保安は非武装ですが、1階保安室には一応銃が置かれているという話です。地下の保安は全員が拳銃を携帯しています。あとセキュリティルームにはもっと強力な連発式の銃が何丁か置かれていたはずです。
屋内での用途から考えて多分口径の短い機関拳銃のようなものでしょう。長距離での命中率はひどく落ちますが、小回りが利き近距離では十分な火力を持つ危険なものです。
地下で撃ってきた連中 MP5 でしたし、そいつが何丁持ってのはちょいと厄介ですね。でもここを制圧できれば地下は私たちの手に落ちる。監督、サトシ君は？
本当は動かしたくないところですが、敵の巣の中に放置はできません。サトシ君も安全なところに移しましょう。私の付き添いも必要です。
サトシ君はどの部屋にいるんです？
この奥の病室に監禁されています。そこは去年から彼専用の部屋になっています。
サトシ君。
The look in Shion's eyes made clear her determination. The security guards who chased after Irie were in the security room on the first floor. They had resumed their game of poker. They knew that the mountain dogs were combing the mountains, and they were well aware that the Institute continued to be in danger. But their job was to stay in that room. And besides, they were working hard on their poker game. Of course, they weren't really concentrating on the game itself. They were still both chatting about the recent car chase, and both seemed proud about what they'd done. They were ordered to shoot at the tires, but they'd wished they'd been ordered to shoot at Irie himself. They definitely would have caught him then. They talked and laughed like that. When people stopped being on edge, that left them all the more vulnerable. This was a perfect example. That was why it took only 2 seconds to suppress them.
両手を頭の上へ。
The security guards were professionals. They immediately realized their guns. The guns Kasai, Akasaka, and Shion were holding weren't toys. They'd already heard there was a gunfight in the basement of the Sonozaki residence. The security guards knew they weren't dealing with amateurs. They also knew they wouldn't hesitate to fire. That was why they surrendered so quickly. They had handcuffs on them already, so it was easy for Kasai and the others to restrain them. The security guards had never thought they'd be wearing the cuffs themselves. They had especially never dreamed of being locked up in a toilet. Their hands were cuffed to pipes behind them as they sat on the toilet seats. Their mouths were stuffed with hand towels, then covered with duct tape. Shion, clearly amused, remarked on how she always wanted to do this to someone. Kasai couldn't help but laugh.
ここまでは順調ですね。問題は地下です。 監視カメラで必ず気づかれます。
そのカメラはモノクロ？画面は4分割？
確かそうだったと思います。よくある防犯カメラの画面です。
ってことは解像度は良くないですね。なら私いい手を思いつきました。
シオンさん、捕虜の虐待はあまり良くないのでは？
The mountain dogs weren't only locked in the bathroom, but had to go through extra humiliation. Oh, are they gonna wear their clothes and they're hoping that the lowered resolution, they won't quite be able to see their faces, so they'll just recognize the uniform and think that they're part of the regular security forces? Let's see. We're going to do a little bit more, and then I'm going to cut it off. This clearly is like just a massive section. We're at the 3 hours from before, plus another hour and probably a half today that I'll do. Jeez. But it's definitely the big, ending section, so I guess I could see why they would have it so long. But, yeah, we'll break it off in another 15 or so minutes. Radio calls continued to come in from the mountain dogs who were fighting up in the mountains. The security guards listened to them intently over the speakers. From what they could hear, it was obvious the mountain dogs weren't doing well at all. They kept falling into traps, suffering heavy losses, all of which they had never expected. It was clear that the mountain dogs were trapped, but they even started to think that they were being lured into something bigger than a simple military maneuver. The mountain dogs had made a mistake. They assumed the club members went to the mountains to escape from Hinamizawa, but they were wrong. They were simply being lured into their enemy's carefully prepared territory. The panicked voices of the mountain dogs, Takano's yelling, and Okonagi's reprimands could be heard through the speakers. It certainly sounded like a war zone.
大鳥湾より大鳥、休憩時間は終わりだぞ。俺たちも出撃する。壊滅した白鷺のポジションを埋めるんだ。味方の損害率はすでに致命的状況だが、敵は確実に後退を重ねてすでに包囲されつつある。もう一息だ。温存した大鳥で一気に圧殺する。陣頭指揮はサンサが直接取られるそうだ。俺も出るぞ。これで決着させる。
おい、隊長が出るぞ。大鳥も上がる。総力戦だ。
なんて奴らだ。ってことはすでに被害は小隊規模にもなるってのか。
俺たちは何者を相手にしてるんだよ。
It's just a bunch of kids!
相手はどこの特殊部隊だってんだ。
The security guards listening to the battle reports over the radio fluctuated between dismay and rejoicing. A cute chime rang suddenly. It was a warning chime that rang automatically when someone went through the entrance to the basement. When the chime rang, the guards were supposed to check the screen to see who was coming through. The one who looked at the screen needed a moment to comprehend what he was seeing.
おい、入江所長だぞ。
何？
They could see the two security guards on the first floor, restraining Irie and some girl.
これ所長だよな。
Oh, the security guards are Kasai and Akasaka, I see.
どういうことだ？
そういうことか。向こうは陽動で、こいつらが富武救出に忍び込もうとしたってことだ。
三佐に所長を連行したと連絡しろ。
Nah, we don't need to let her know. We can deal with this one ourselves. A buzzer sounded and a computer panel displayed information about the card being used to enter. Commissioned Officer Pass. ID 001-0001, Special Grade 1. Lieutenant Colonel. Kyusuke Irie, Director. Password. Match. Fingerprint confirmation? Match.
Huh?
How strange. The security guards brought Irie down. That made sense. But why were they using the director's security access card? They were even using his fingerprint. Did they cut his finger off? Ouch. Or maybe they just, maybe the two people that were being restrained were... Wait. That's a little weird. Hold on. So either they cut Irie's finger off, or Irie is actually at the door. Which would mean maybe they had Irie get dressed up. They might have used the guards as like the ones that are being restrained, you know, like on the floor. They dressed one of them up as Irie, fair enough. Did they dress the other one up as Shion? That's a little weird. Unless that is Shion on the floor, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, why were they having him do that? Wouldn't it be quicker for the guards to do that themselves? One of the guards figured it out, but it was too late. The door to the basement was open, and the four newcomers forced their way inside. They ran through the security camera screen and were headed straight for the security room. They had them. Oh! As soon as the door opened, the security guard started firing. Akasaka realized that if it had taken him a second longer to pull back, he would have been riddled with hundreds of bullets. One of the guards pushed the desk onto its side. The paper cups on the desk fell to the floor, spilling coffee everywhere. They used the desk as a barricade. The other two guards started to shoot at random. As long as the guards were shooting at the rescue unit, they couldn't counterattack. One of the guards activated the emergency alarm, and another picked up the submachine gun off the wall. The other one picked up a gas mask. It was impressive that they got their act together so quickly. A situation like this would result in a fierce gun battle, meaning that it would take quite a while for the rescue team to suppress the guards. The emergency alarm sounding in the basement reminded them that their surprise attack had failed.
一気に制圧し損ねた。
でも敵は全員この中、袋のネズミです。この部屋に釘付けにしているうちに、サトシ君と富武さんを救出しちゃいましょう。
The mountain dogs outside would definitely hear that alarm. If they took too long, the enemy would come to block their escape route. Then they'd be trapped inside.
そうだ。確かセキュリティに侵入者対策で確か
Irie started to speak while he tried to recollect it. Shion told him that he should have remembered something like that before they came in. Before Irie remembered, a voice came over the speakers.
エントランス区画にて緊急事態が発生しました。エントランス区画にて緊急事態が発生しました。問題が解決するまで研究施設内の全区画は緊急閉鎖されます。
Oh, that's bad.
エントランス区画のスタッフはセキュリティルームに集合し、防毒マスクを着用してください。
What, do they fill the basement with gas?
保安隊員の指示に従ってください。120秒後に研究区画及びエントランス区画には鎮圧用ガスの自動散布が行われます。
Oh, that's right.
繰り返します。
どうやら2分以内に制圧して警報を解除しないとヤバいことになりそうだ。
鎮圧用ガスって何ですか？毒ガス
Diphencyanic arsenide? If you inhale a lot of it, it's dangerous, but it's not deadly. It only takes a few seconds to take effect. There are many symptoms, but the most common one is to sneeze for about 30 minutes. Isn't that also called Red Agent? The military used it to secure enemy territories. They either had to run out of there immediately or take over the security room, but since the area had been sealed off, they couldn't escape. There were armed guards in the security room, and if the rescue unit members even peeked around the corner, they'd be shot at mercilessly.
くそ、ダメだ。これでは狙って撃つなんて到底できない。
インドアの基本はグレネードか。くそ、そんなのないって。
焦って飛び込めば蜂の巣です。どうすればいいんだ。
サトシ君は 目前だというのに。
Shion, no, don't do it.
悔しい。
Shion pressed her forehead against her gun, gritting her teeth in frustration. As Kesai analyzed the situation, he stood up and spoke.
皆さん、私に任せてもらいましょう。
I think we're about to see something really cool. The guards in the security room were on edge too. Once the gas was flowing, everything would come to an end. But the guard knew their enemy wouldn't just sit and wait for that to happen. They'd come rushing in regardless of the counterattack they'd face. Although the guards would still have the upper hand, it'd be a point-blank gunfight. They wouldn't come out of it unscathed. Therefore, as the deadline approached, their tension increased. The guards never even considered that the door they opened would be shut again. They fired at the door, leaving many small holes in it. After that, it all went quiet. What were they thinking? There was nowhere to hide. The gas was about to be released. Why did they close the door? For what reason did they do that? That was when a loud explosion punched a hole in the door the size of a fist. Not only the door, but the wall in the security room had a similar hole.
マグナム。違う。スラックだ。
A calm voice echoed from the other side of the door.
ご名答です。こいつは人間を撃つ弾じゃありません。威力は皆さんほどならすでにご存知でしょう。
The power of a slug bullet is limited to extremely close-range battles, but it's also incredibly powerful. After all, it's fired from a shotgun, but it doesn't scatter. A shotgun is meant to fire scatter shots, but it can be used to fire only one huge, incredibly powerful bullet. That's the slug. It's usually used for hunting. It's used to shoot at animals, not humans. If it was to be used on a human, their arms and legs would be shattered, and nothing would be left of the head. It shouldn't even be called a bullet. It should be called a cannon. It would easily pierce through the door, the desk they were using as a barricade, and any guards hiding behind the desk before slamming into the wall. The guards understood very well just how powerful it was. The kind of guns they had shot out many small bullets, therefore they didn't work as well through a door. But their enemies didn't care about the door at all. Their weapon could easily pierce through anything. Hiding behind a desk didn't mean a thing.
あなた方を粉々にできることがご理解できたはずです。死にたくなかったら警報を切っていただきましょう。
落ち着け。もうじきガスが出る。それまでの辛抱だ。
その前に皆さんが内臓をぶちまけることになるとはお考えが至りませんか。
Kasai's voice was extremely intimidating. Only one who truly understood the power of the shotgun could talk that way.
時間がありません。5秒でケツを取ります。5つ数えて警報が切れなければ覚悟していただきます。
どうする？ガスまでまだ60秒くらいあるぞ。
焦るな。向こうだってビビってるんだ。飲まれるんじゃねえ。
That was when a deep voice rang out, reverberating through the pit of their stomachs.
おい、人が親切に話してるのに聞いてねえのか。
It must have been coming from the same person, but it had changed so much so quickly.
この葛西達義がてめえらを生かしてやると言ってんだ。ありがてえとは思わねえのか、ガキどもが。お前ら、俺を舐めてんのか？
Come on, just murder one of them. Like, just start with one, and then maybe they'll get the idea. A roar and an explosion sounded at the same time. The upper half of the door disappeared. Numerous lead balls bounced around in the room, breaking the lights and ricocheting off the walls. Shattered glass fell onto the floor. The shotgun had turned the security room into hell. The hurricane of lead balls blew violently through the room as it shattered, scattered, and destroyed everything. The guards could only cover their heads and pray. They prayed the lead balls wouldn't hit them, and endured the falling glass. Before they had a chance to recover, Kasai jumped in through what was left of the door and kicked the desk aside. He stepped onto one guard's head and yelled at the other.
キノモが最初にミンチになりてえのは誰だ？てめえかこら！さっき上等決めやがったのはてめえかこら！
違う降伏する！撃つな！
何いつまで茶化ひけらかしてんだこら！殺されてえかオリサイ！てめえとは築いてきた屍の山の高さが違うんじゃボケ！
すんません、勘弁してください。
They dropped their guns voluntarily and got on the floor with their hands on their heads. Even Shion couldn't believe what just happened. There were several of them, and all had been amply armed. Kasai had a weapon too, but it was his presence that defeated them. Even the mountain dogs couldn't equal what Kasai once had to go through.
何てめえら昼で始めてんだこら！マスク剥がされてとっとと警報を止めろクソガキ！
停止する！撃つな！
One of the guards got up in a hurry and switched the alarm off. Kasai stood there calmly, but they were only seconds away from the gas releasing. Shion and Akasaka came to their senses and quickly moved into the room to help Kasai subdue the guards.
葛西、あんた。
こんな真似は二度としないつもりでしたが、緊急措置でした。忘れてください。
That was the Kasai Shion knew. But in the end, Kasai hadn't killed anyone. Shion remembered Kasai telling her how terrifying shotguns were in the basement of the Sonozaki residence. That was Shotgun Tatsu, whom all the people in Shishibone were afraid of.
急ぎましょう。どの道すでに警報は鳴らされています。長居はできません。
そうですね。急ぎましょう。
Akasaka and Kasai pulled out the guards' handcuffs and restrained them.
サトシ君、どこ？
Now that the security room was under their control, Shion realized there was nothing keeping her from seeing Satoshi. She was getting anxious. Irie had shown her the map. He must be down here, she thought. Shion had already started to run.
私も行ってきます。サトシ君と富武さんを助けないと。
すみません。頼みます。
1、2、3、4、5。
Akasaka felt a chill running down his spine. Irie said there were 6 security guards. Shion wasn't paying attention to anything else. She was only thinking about her reunion with Satoshi. And she still can't hear in her left ear. To make things worse, the security guard is waiting on the left side of Shion. Shion had to regret letting her guard down just a bit too early. The mountain dog jumped out and grabbed Shion. He choked her neck with his thick arm. There was no way Shion could get out from the situation alone. Irie saw what had happened. Fortunately, their backs were turned towards him. Here is Irie's chance to attack the enemy. But today, Irie had lost a lot of confidence in himself. He felt he hadn't done anything right all day. Fighting wasn't his expertise, so there really wasn't anything he could have done. But he was disappointed in himself for not being able to help just the same. But in that moment, he was the only one who could do anything. If possible, he wanted to go get Kasai or Akasaka. They were both very reliable. They could take out this man in an instant. But there was no time for that. Only in this moment was his back facing Irie. And if Irie didn't do anything, the dog was sure to take Shion hostage, creating a deadlock. Enemy backup could arrive any moment, so being in a deadlock would mean death. Therefore, Irie couldn't depend on anyone else. He had to resolve this situation himself. He only had one chance. Once the unit member turned around, the deadlock would begin. But was there even a way for Irie to knock him down in one shot? No, he had to. He must. There had to be something that only Irie could do. Irie took a mechanical pencil out of his pocket. It was probably the strongest weapon he had.
くそ、やってくれますね、所長。いってててててて。
Irie stabbed the man's neck with his mechanical pencil, but it only scratched him a little. What was he thinking? The man drew his gun, pressed it to Shion's head, and created a stalemate, just as Irie predicted.
ごめんなさい。私、サトシ君のことで頭がいっぱいだった。
Shion's eyes were filled with tears.
さて所長、月並みで恐縮ですが、他の侵入者ともども武装解除してもらいましょう。さっきのとんでもない音は相当でかい銃を持ち込んでますね。撃たれたらたまりませんので。
Come on, Irie. Remember Kasai-san from earlier. You can do it.
笑わせます。この入江機関、この入江京介に取引などできるつもりですか？
何？
これは高野さんの開発したシャーペン型の偽装注射器
Oh,
で
good
す。
one. I like that.
薬物については説明が必要ですか？
なんだと？
If a regular person had said that, it wouldn't have worked. But Irie was wearing his white lab coat, and the basement was his territory. What he said just sounded very believable. He wanted to believe that Irie was lying, but he started to feel an itch on the back of his neck.
H178 は高野さんが生み出した170番台の最高傑作です。いかなる治療手段もなく、わずか数分で錯乱、妄想、頭痛、鼻水、鼻詰まり、お通じの普通、数々の激症を引き起こし、最後には自らの爪でお尻をかき破って死んでしまいます。治療法はただ一つ。1分以内、この解毒剤のお注射を受けることのみです。
嘘だ。そんなのあるはずね。
すでに30秒経過ですね。そろそろ心臓を経由して全身に回り始めてくる頃です。全身のリンパ腺にかゆみは出ませんか？寝るときにいびきやおならが出ませんか？
Shion could only watch this pathetic act in silence. But for the mountain dog, who worked at such a shady research center, what Irie said sounded totally believable.
くそ！わかった。早くその治療薬を打ってくれ。
はて、言葉遣いがなっていませんね。
わかりました。降参します。早く注射をしてください。
ダメです。ご主人様への言葉遣いがなっていません。一度だけ指導しましょう。いいですか？このお注射はお尻に注射しなくてはなりません。まず四つん這いになってズボンをずらし、お尻を出します。その際お尻は突き出すようにし、両右手の親指の爪を噛みながら振り返り、そうそう。
You're having a little too much fun with this.
そしてあなたはご主人様、この私めにお注射をくださいませと哀願するのです。言えませんか？嘆かわしい。そもそも古来メイドはご主人様への絶対忠誠を誓い、滅私暴行によって美徳と文化を築き上げてきたのです。そんな素晴らしい社会を作ったのに近年の日本はどうですか？メイドの心を忘れた若者はガングロ、ルーズソックス、派手派手なハワイ装束。大和なでしこが情けない。お肌をスレスレにお手入れして過剰な日焼けには要注意。ソックスはもちろんニーソです。黒のストッキングも素晴らしい。いやでもたまにはハイソックスも素敵です。
What are you talking about here?
メイドの心。思えば日本はわびさびとメイドを忘れました。
その結果がこの低出産率超高齢化社会。今や熟年人口は増え続け、萌えメディアもその層をターゲットにするのは時間の問題。やがてはストライクゾーン春が真上とされてきたおばさんにもスポットライトが浴びせられ、いつしかおばさんとメイドの組み合わせはまさにトイレ用洗剤、混ぜるな危険。それを混ぜるとなぜかメイドでなく家政婦さんになり、急にトレンディードラマから昼ドラっぽくなっちゃうのです。それはつまりメイドの絶滅。その時月は砕け、悲しみの雨を地上に降らし、地球をアステロイドベルトが覆う。それこそが予言書に記された最後の審判の日。全世界を偉大なるメイドカチューシャが覆いしとき、真のメイド世界が開かれる。そうだ、そうそう、図が高い非メイドの魂よ、ここに集うのだ。カモンマイキャッスルインダメイドキングだ。
Irie, please, what is this artwork? Good Akasaka, it's just the walks in on this.
ええ、ありがとうです。監督、赤坂さんたち来てやっつけてくれましたよ。
Irie is just like in a corner yelling to himself.
まだメイド教育が終わっていないというのに。
先生、そいつは後ほどに。
サトシ君。
Yeah, I think we'll stop here. So, this could be over in 5 screens, or this could be another hour and a half. I really thought that the last one was going to be over pretty soon. I was like, oh, this one could be like a 10 or 15 minute recording, but I'll put an hour and a half into it, and I put almost an hour and 40 minutes into it. So, it is what it is. For probably the next week or so, I'm going to not be able to do... I can talk a bit, as you can see, but I don't want to put, a 3-hour recording on me right now. It's just kind of hard to talk for quite that long. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed though. And when we come back, maybe we'll finish the set or maybe not. We'll see. But thanks for watching, guys. And I will see you for the next one. Bye.